Hey everybody, welcome to Power Hour, starring myself and Giles Tiger Thomas. This week we're going to be talking about the Big Man Evolution Pro taking place Sunday in Portugal. This is going to be William Bonac going for yet another win after making a successful comeback at the Empro Classic. It's going to be Nathan DeAsha trying to take the title. Nathan's on the hunt. And of course, we can't forget the big surprise late entry. Did not expect to see him until much later in the season again. We're talking about Krizo. Michal Krizo from Slovakia. Yeah, what? You didn't look at the list.
What?
Yeah,
I saw it. Hang on. I saw it, but I assumed that was the old one. So he's back in.
Is it? Did you look at the list again?
No, I saw his name on there, but I assumed it was before he took his name off because of the shoulder thing.
Well, let's see. I mean, if it's still on there,
are you sure?
Well, because the list was only put up a couple days ago.
Well, I saw him post a couple of days ago. Somebody asked about why is Krizo not doing it.
No, he's on it. He's on the list.
And he says, no, I'm injured. That's all he said on a reply on Instagram.
So I don't know. I'm gonna operate on the assumption that he might. No, maybe.
No, I don't think so. I think he's out, mate. I think he's out. I think he's just doing Prague now.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we still got a great matchup. I want to start with Bonac. The first thing I want to show you is Bonac as he looked 4 years ago, and then we're going to take a look at how he looked more recently. And I want you to tell me if you think he's close, as good, or worse, physique-wise, because I know you'll be objective. He actually thanked you on Instagram because you posted a really cool video that you had shot.
Oh, the black and white one, Bonac Noir.
yeah, that's right. So this was the 2020 Arnold Classic that he won 4 years ago. This is MD footage. Let's take your
Yep.
So this is him at close to his best, I would say.
Yeah. Give your take first, Ron.
Will he take first at the show in Portugal?
Sorry, you're talking about his physique now, or you want to talk about?
Yeah. Well, before we get into the preview, because he's obviously the heavy favorite to win this show. Mm-hmm. He's beaten all these guys before. He's an Olympia runner-up. He's a two-time Arnold Classic champ. He just won. You just won. I don't think he's ever beaten. I'm sorry. I don't think Nathan DeAsha has ever beaten him, has he?
Hang on. That's a very good question. I don't think he has, because I'm thinking the last time they would have competed against each other was in 2018. And that's a really good question, actually, because, I think because obviously Bonac does the Arnolds and the Olympias. That's the main shows he does. And that's the ones that Nathan doesn't do. Yeah. So obviously, with it being an American show, so do you know what? Looking at his physique now, though, I thought he was so much better in 2020. But do you know what? Now I actually quite like this new look. It looks like he's got more refinement, more detail. His physique does look a little bit more. It looks a bit more different now. But I think this is actually this new Empro Classic look. Obviously, I was there. I was bloody sat front row, right next to the judges. Yes, his physique has changed, but I don't think it's necessarily better or it's necessarily worse. It's just different. He's lost. He hasn't really lost anything. His physique has just changed shape a little bit. But I feel like he's got more refinement now. He's got more detail. I mean, he's never ever suffered with conditioning. I mean, the Empro look was fantastic, and I actually think he's going to be a little bit better again for Portugal. I've just got a feeling. I saw a couple of posts he's put out. In fact, funny enough, I was speaking to him last week. And he was stressing because he was guest posing in Marrakesh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was guest posing in Marrakesh. And he was saying his flight had been cancelled. He'd been stuck at the airport since 9:30 that morning. He didn't have, I don't know what he had. I can't remember what he wrote, actually. I don't know what he mentioned about the food situation. But he was getting stressed, So basically caught him while he was at the airport. So we were messaging back and forth. And, so I saw the guest posing. And to me, he looked even better in the guest posing than he did at the Empro. And that's, without dropping water and all the things that they do. I mean, that tells me that I think we're going to see an even better version of William this week in Portugal. So what do you think then, Ron?
I think he looks as good because people were saying he's so downsized, he's so much smaller. I don't see that at all.
No.
I don't know what these people are looking at.
Yeah.
When you say his physique has changed, what do you think has changed in the past couple of years?
I mean, there's the slight like the lats and the arms are slightly like it's sort of slightly it's just changed shape slightly. I mean, maybe if he is a little bit, maybe if it's a couple of pounds lighter, he's more refined, So for me, it's a fantastic good new look he's got. Certainly because I think a lot of people kind of expect him to come back especially after that break, and then kind of slipping down those couple of years at the Olympia in 2021 and then 22. I think people just kind of expect him to come back and just be kind of continually sort of sliding. But he came back, it just shows that if you just bring the conditioning and you get that peaking right, and also a real credit to Stephane Mr as well, because there's the secret to what a good coach is. So I mean, he really got the best out of Bonac when many of us kind of expected him to, he's only 41 or 42, isn't he? I mean, that's nothing really. But when you sort of, a few years ago, he peaked in 2020, and it was like a slight decline. Still a very good bodybuilder, still, able to win shows and still place well. But you could see that maybe we've seen him kind of at his best, like when every bodybuilder has a peak year and then they still do well, but that peak year was like 2-3 years ago. So it's nice to see him come back like this, and also come in as really like, I honestly can't decide who I think is going to win this one this weekend. What do you think, mate?
Well, let's take a look at his main competition.
There you go.
Boom. So this is definitely another boss of outlaw, Stephane Mr coaching client.
Yep.
Prophecy, Nathan DeAsha. Yeah, like you said, when he came back last year, when he won a couple shows last year, he looked damn good, but he's bigger and fuller now with the same condition.
Yeah.
Would you say this is the best he's looked or close to it?
I do actually, yeah, because I think 2017 Olympia was the kind of peak. I mean, I spoke to Nathan, and he mentioned a couple of other shows, like smaller shows where he felt like because Nathan is a bit of a master of, like, he put a post up the other day and he says, should I come in like ripped or full? And the thing is, like most bodybuilders, I kind of roll my eyes at when they say that, but Nathan is actually, he's able to bring, I've seen him do it where he's done 2 or 3 successive shows. And he brings literally it's almost like a different physique for each one. And I don't know how the hell he does it, but he seems to have real mastery and control over that. But you know what really shocked me is when we did the Power Hour last week and you brought up the footage from last year's Flex Weekend Pro. And I honestly, my eyes popped down stalks, because until I saw that video, I straight away saw just how much bigger he was this year. Like the legs, I think the biggest difference was in the legs, the back, and also his arms, because obviously last year he had the arm injuries. Right. He probably only had a few months maybe to train them, sort of even, slightly properly. Probably just trying to sort of just get by. But I feel like in the last year, I feel like this is the biggest and best version of Nathan we've ever seen. And I've also got a very strong feeling he's going to bring an even better package this weekend as well. So I've got a feeling we might potentially see, I don't know whether we'll see a Bonac that was as good as that 2017 Olympia when he was 3rd. I don't know. Or 2020 Arnold Classic, the footage you just shown. But I've got a feeling that this is going to be the best version of the comeback Bonac, and also the best version potentially that we've ever seen from Nathan. So this is going to be, again, this is like the Behrooz and Nathan one. This is going to be a show worth in itself, just seeing those two go at it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's impossible for Nathan to beat him, just because on paper William Bonac is a superior bodybuilder. Structurally, they both have, a little bit of flaws. Bonac has a short torso. Nathan has a longer torso. So neither one of them are blowing the other one away on like perfect bone structure. Yeah. They both have a ton of muscle. They both come in great condition. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a battle. I hope they get compared over and over and over again.
It's going to happen. I mean, I really, I said to Nathan as well, I said, and William, I said, look, guys, I'm rooting for you both. I said, because you're two of my, literally Nathan and William, actually two of my kind of like my top, probably in my top 10, maybe in my top 6 of actual currently competing bodybuilders. I'm a huge fan of their physiques, and they've got such different types of physiques as well. So in one way, I'm rooting for Nathan because, I mean, he just lost that to Behrooz, that was a flip of a coin. And then you've got William, who we're kind of all rooting for and all excited for. But part of me wants Nathan to win this one, because I want Nathan to get that win. I want him to see him get numbers 11 or 12 he's on now. Because William's already qualified. So maybe if I was sort of to be perfect, had a gun to my head, I'd say I really want Nathan to win this one, because but it's nice. Also, it's nice to see William sort of still going on as well, because like I said, we argue back and forth. I say, once you win, you should shut it down. And then part of me wants to see these guys go up against Nathan, in the next show, because he wasn't in the Empro. So I'm rooting for both guys. But if I was to be pushed, I'd like to see Nathan get this win.
Yeah, and I mean, people keep saying, William Bonac, they want him to be able to do one last Olympia. Do you think he's all at the point? Do you think he would even bother coming back if he's only going to compete this one last season?
No, he's going to do it. No, he's going to do a few. He's going to do a few. I mean, he's 40. What is he? 42 now? 41.
41 or 42. That's not that old.
I mean, most of the guys 10 years ago weren't even hitting their peak till they were 40. Really wasn't really at his best till he was about 40. Sean Roden, 43, 44. Wow. So it's gone are the days of the 70s and the 80s where the guys were sort of, peaking in their mid-20s. I mean, those guys aren't even turning pro until they're in their late 20s now. So a lot of these guys. So, I mean, the sport has changed. The sport has evolved. And it just seems that this is not a sort of like Stephane's just proven that, he just needs to get with a good coach and a good pro. Maybe he needed a break. Maybe he needed that, because I remember seeing a post he put up was a year or two ago. And he said, I'm normally this time of year I'm on prep. And he says, and I'm really, really missing it. I miss that kind of getting up in the morning and having that something to go after. And sometimes by holding those guys back, and then they see all their counterparts competing, and and it really lights that fire. So sometimes holding back a little bit like that, taking a break, which is good mentally and physically, is sometimes one of the best things that these guys can do, because then when they get back, they're just raring to go and they're not just kind of going through the motions. So who if you had to put your money on one of these guys winning, who would you say, or who would you like to see win?
I like the underdog, so I'd like Nathan to win, just because for him to beat William Bonac would be such a tremendous win for him.
Yeah,
I know he would be over the moon. I know it would be a huge story. We like to see everyone likes to see the champ win only for a little while, and then we turn on them. We want to see the underdog, the challenger take him out. And Bonac's already got his Olympia qualification. He doesn't need to do this show. Of course, we both encourage the pros to keep doing shows. That's a great thing. But at the same time, I'd like to see Nathan win.
Yeah, I hope. I don't, like I said, we don't really 100% know what the situation with him being able to get to America. I mean, like I said, it's something I try to avoid because I don't want it to affect him potentially with any, placings potentially, or, I'm not saying that would happen. But I don't want it to. I kind of like to sort of think optimistically and, and hope that he is in a position, or he can be in a position. So I would like to see him get a qualification, just so he's got that choice. Yeah. He has the opportunity to try at least, because, like I said, I don't know all the ramifications of why, because he went there last year and then he got sent back. So I don't know what the whole situation is. I don't know whether we will ever get the full story on that. But yeah. So rooting for Nathan, rooting for William.
Well, now. You're 99.999% sure we're not going to see this man on stage.
Yep.
There's that 0.0001% chance that we might.
Plus, he got the footage ready, so let's see it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we know his shoulder was in tremendous pain. I think he said he needs surgery, right?
Yeah.
So
no, hang on, sorry. I'm just looking at that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not got information on that.
It still would be odd for him to step away from prep for a few months and then jump right back in it for the Prague show just to get an early qualification for next year.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just
so close to the Olympia on the calendar. Why wouldn't you just try to qualify for the Olympia and do the Olympia, unless he feels his training is that severely hampered that he wouldn't be anywhere near his best at the Olympia? October 12th.
I mean, the shoulder situation kind of makes sense because, I mean, look at him here. I mean, he looks fantastic, but I don't see any change from last year where he's kind of on these bodybuilding the last couple of years. It's been since he turned pro in 22, he's been making serious changes, So, I mean, fair play to him for bringing a package this good if he had, a really serious shoulder injury that was really impeding his training. It's funny because in this video, he looks in better condition than when I saw him backstage, because in backstage, he didn't look in good condition at all. But in that video there, he looks pretty good.
Yeah, and you're dealing with shoulder issues. I've been dealing with them for decades. Typically, when you have shoulder problems, it affects the pushing muscles and the pushing exercises much more so. Your shoulder training, your chest training, maybe your tricep training. His back training really shouldn't be affected. His hamstring training, and those are the two areas that he needs the most improvement on. So I don't see where it would interfere with him making any needed improvements. I know it's still a pain in the ass, a pain in the shoulder to deal with, But and I don't want to downplay what he's going through, because you and I both know, and anyone out there who's dealt with shoulder injuries know it's horrific. It's, when you get to the point where you need someone to help you put your shirts on, take your shirts off for you. That's
well, I'm kind of at that stage. I mean, So it's funny though, because when I saw him backstage, it looked to me like his legs had put on size. It looked like a little bit more sweep. But I don't know how I feel about that now. Looking at this video, he looks good. I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't kill him if he just took the rest of this year off. If he has got a shoulder injury that's that serious, then maybe he should just, like you said, just wipe. He's done a show. He's made an appearance. He got a good placing. He competed against very good bodybuilders and get beat by chumps. He's. I think maybe he should just take the rest of the year off and just get it sorted, because otherwise you don't want it. If it's not sorted properly, it's just going to keep. He's just kicking the can down the road. He's probably not dealing with it. But maybe if he just took this year and went, you know what? I've done a show. Everyone's happy. My sponsors are happy. I've got up on stage. People aren't going to forget about me. I'm recognized as one of the top 10 guys in the world. Maybe just a year off wouldn't do him harm. Because then again, like I said last week, if he then goes to Prague and he doesn't win, it's going to be like all that prep and probably more aggravation on the shoulder for bollocks all.
Yeah, that's I'm trying to put my head into his thought process, and I'm guessing he's going to hang on, deal with the pain, try to get through the prep for this Prague show, which is a month after the Olympia. It's in November. Then maybe get it operated on. I think his plan is get my qualification in Prague mid-November, have surgery right after that, recover, and that gives him the needed timeline to recover from that and then get ready for the 2025 Olympia. But like you said, he doesn't know who's going to show up in Prague. A win is not it's not a foregone conclusion. It's never is. Bonac might show up, or who knows who might show up, Could be.
Yeah, I mean, I think we still need to go over that conversation as the next few weeks go on, because I'm telling you, I think there's going to be one or two big names that isn't going to qualify this year. And I think it's purely because they're going to just pick the wrong show that's, say for example, like a Nathan or a Bonac that's just on a winning streak and just say, sod it, I'm just going to keep going. Why shouldn't I go and win, 10, 15, 20 grand or whatever? Right. And, another win, a win's a win, it's good. So why, you never know what these guys are going to do. They can say, oh, I'm doing this, but then they might change their mind if they do really well. I mean, what about Rubiel? I mean, Rubiel is just, what if he goes and wins like 2, 3, 4 shows? Because, I mean, you've seen how he's looking. He's looking absolutely insane. So who's to say, if he does Dubai, or about Vlad Surochko, you don't know what he's going to bring. They might, these guys do. They're not bothered about hopping back and forth and doing all these different shows, especially if they do well. Yeah. So look at Samson. He went and jumped in Romania and Prague just kind of like last minute, right, and took those 2 wins away from those 2 guys, which we didn't expect to see, because you think, he's just got 3rd in Olympia. Why would he go and do more shows? Right. So yes, interesting. I think there's going to be 1 or 2 upset guys this year.
Let's move on to guys doing Portugal. We got this youngster from Germany, Emir Omerajic. He's been having a really great season. That second place in Cal Pro, right? Antonio? Yeah, he's coming on strong this year. I mean,
fantastic. Yeah,
25-year-old kid. Condition is on point. He's got plenty of size. Very consistent. And these European shows are really these European athletes are really setting an example to the American athletes. You don't have to just do one show and then disappear for the rest of the year. You don't have to be afraid to go around the world to compete. It's ironic that a lot of some European guys some guys from places like the Middle East and Europe, they can't get visas to compete in the US, yet we have Americans who have no problem traveling any of these countries where the contests are held, and they keep just competing right there in their own backyard, somewhere that's a 2, 3, 4, 5 hour flight away. So show Emir. Yeah. But Emir, man, you've been touting this, you've been promoting this kid for years. Long before I heard of him. You must be pleased to see how he's developed and matured as a bodybuilder.
Yeah, I really like him. I remember when he remember the Big Man Weekend 2021. Me and Lauren did the live stream commentary, and he took 2nd to Angel Calderon. Remember Angel Calderon did the Open and won it. Yep. And then Emir came 2nd, and I think he was only, what was he? Must be like 21 then, 22, 21. He was Chris Aceto was prepping him, and I went on stage and I did a little wrap up for MD on the YouTube live. And I remember because he walked past in the background and said hi, and then he jumped in for a few seconds. And it was funny because at the time until he stood next to me actually physically in the flesh, I didn't realize how big he was. Yeah. Like he kind of, I mean, he's a little bit bigger now. Again, obviously 3 years later, but I like him. He's very, very consistent with his condition, and he obviously preps like a bloody maniac. I love his rear double bicep. I love his rear lat spread. He's got good sort of conditioning, good dryness. Look at the quad separation. Yeah. He's very consistent. Head's really switched on for was he 24, 25 now? Yeah.
That's all.
And I mean, I was speaking to Krystian about him like probably 2-3 years ago, and Chris was messaging me lots about him, and he says, "Watch out for this kid." He said, "I'm telling you, he's got it up here." Like when Neil Hill told me about Flex Lewis when Flex Lewis first broke on the scene, and I was like, "Yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's pretty good." And he went, "No, he's going to be great. Like he's not just going to be good, he's going to be great." And Krystian had the kind of same sort of conversation with me about Emir. Like he's like, "Look, Giles, I work with a lot of guys, but I'm telling you, this guy has got it. It's not just the physical attributes, but the mental attributes and the attitude." And, because these coaches, they work with hundreds of different athletes over the years, and they kind of get a feel for the guys that have the right mental attitude, like I said, it's always very hit and miss. It's very with the really young guys. And so to see them, not just pop up 1 year and then, almost like they explode and then they get popular and then they disappear or they just go off the rails, to see him consistently bringing it year after year after year. Like that's the kind of guy I think supplement companies really want to get with and sponsor. Do you know what I mean? Because they're the ones that they're not only the future, but they're always going to be relevant because they're young and they're kind of, and he's a good looking kid as well. So he's marketable. Yeah. And he reminds me of Superboy in what's his name out of Titans. I sent a picture on Gob Muscle. I put a picture of him next to Superboy, the kid who plays Superboy, because he's pretty big in the show.
You talking about Teen Titans, the cartoon?
No, the bloody the live action one. The one with Nightwing and Hawkman and all that with Alan Richardson and everything. You've seen it? Brilliant.
Well, that's DC Comics. I'm a Marvel guy, so.
And Robin. They're both amazing.
I don't care. This is another guy that I had never heard of until this season, and he's a young guy. He's like 27 years old, from France, Anthony Jehl. So what was he? He was 4th place at the Flex Pro, 5th in the Empro.
Stripy chest.
And these are good lineups. So for him to break top 5 at both of those shows shows you. Who is he? A saucy guy? Mauro Saucy?
No. Hang on, no, he's is he Stephane?
He might be Stephane.
I'm sure he's Stephane. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. We should have. Yeah. Did you find the picture of him next to Holland's Head on stage, or is it backstage at the NPC Sweden about 3 months ago?
Oh, that was him. Yeah. In fact, I'm going to present it.
Have you got it? Show that picture. Picture.
I will. Let's see. Share screen.
Yeah. I want to talk about that, Ron.
So here he is with James. Yeah, I mean he's bigger than James, significantly bigger. It's an on screen. You can see it now, right?
Nope.
Oh no! Oh, I didn't do it.
No, I've got the. Still got the Empro.
I know. I have to stop this screen. Okay, you'll get it, Ron. Come on, Ron.
Come on, Ronald Harris.
You can do it, Ron. I know you can do it. Yeah. How's that?
Nope.
No, what?
But we're enjoying watching the posing footage from the Empro. So.
Oh Lord, have mercy. Present. Stop screen. Okay.
Ron, you're like me trying to use the air fryer.
Seriously. Share screen. It's on the Facebook. The Facebook, as old people say. Still.
Boom! There you go. Look at that. Now, Ron, can you imagine our excitement when, because he was a gasp athlete, so obviously they brought on Samir Trudy, James, and Anthony here for the guest pose, and he brought them all out individually, and then they brought them all out together, and they all went up into the audience. Now, of course, we're all like, because he won the NPC Sweden overall the year before. So that's where he got his pro card, and obviously from France flew into Sweden to compete. Now, obviously we saw that. We were like, everyone was excited about this new guy, and obviously James Holland says an absolute mass monster. He's like a 270 plus guy. He's one of the biggest pros out there.
Right.
So for this new guy to pop up and like really compare well, I mean, you're walking around, we're like, holy shit, this guy's. But then you kind of, once you kind of get over the excitement, you're kind of left speculating about, okay, but in 8 weeks, how much of that is going to be left? How's he going to look? How's it going to translate? Right. He's looking full as a house, but they all do when they're 8 weeks out from a show and on prep. We've seen these guys look absolutely phenomenal at these guest posings, and obviously they got fat and water on them, and then you think, yeah, but when that last bit comes off, are they going to be what are we actually going to be left with? And I've seen many physiques disappear. Do you know what I mean? Over that 8-week period, and they're just kind of like, they just puff, you know?
Yeah.
So, but when we saw this, we were really, really excited. And then obviously to see him, I was actually backstage because before they went on stage, I went backstage on a little wander around. And because Emir has like a proper, like he brings gym equipment in there, because I think people said that the pump up room was a little bit lacking. So he went and put a full weights room
Wow.
backstage. Yeah, in the area. I did some filming on him for my Instagram. And because Emir says, "Come here, Giles, I want to show you something." Because I think he was aware that people were saying that backstage was a bit rubbish at his shows. So he kind of addressed it. There was mirrors everywhere, and then there was like a full gym. So anyway, he was on there and he was doing some cable crossovers, and then he just started posing because his wife was taking some photos or video. Yeah. And I didn't recognize him at first. I didn't realize it was him. And I went, "Holy shit, who's this guy?" And she went, "Anthony." I said, "Oh, twig," because he looked different, obviously with tan and, 8 weeks later. And I was really, really impressed. I was really really happy that, basically he retained all the size, because the waist looked a bit thick about 8 weeks out, and I was thinking, it's gonna really spoil the picture if that waistline doesn't come in. And yes, he hasn't got the smallest of waistlines. He's got like a Brian Buchanan type waist, but at the end of the day, he looked really, really good. And then he took 4th place, and then he took 4th place in Italy. So 2 top 5s at 27 years old in the open in 2 separate shows, very, very competitive shows. I think he's off to a fantastic start, and he's definitely one of the front runners coming into this show. Vacuum as well, look.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for weaknesses. I don't see many. He's got a hell of a physique package, and 27 years old, he's got a very bright future, because he's probably going to hit his prime. This looks great, but let's see what he looks like 3 or 4 years. I bet he's going to blow this look away.
Look at the conditioning and the density and the dryness. I mean, like he's really good, man. Really, really good. I'm excited to give him a couple of years. Like I said, I like to see these newcomers come out from nowhere. And 27 years old. He's really, really good. I'm impressed. I think give him a couple of years. Let's see what he does.
Yeah, we wish him well. He looks great now. And when I say that, I'm not saying they don't look really good now, but you and I both have that long-term potential eye where we can see this guy's on his way. He's going to be even better.
100%.
Another great young guy out of Poland, Krystian Wolski. Krystian's having a heck of a season. I saw him in New York. Very impressed. Just a beautiful shape. He's got that classic look, and he hits the classic type poses, but with open bodybuilding mass and conditioning. It's just on point. So impressed with this kid.
Krystian's absolutely fantastic. Like I said, I saw him in 2018 August. I've got in my head when he turned pro in the UK at the Two Bro show. And the thing is, he's been like, I know everyone's raving about him now, but he's been around for a couple of years getting good placings. I mean, I'm sure a couple of years ago he did, I think it was 2 or 3 shows in Europe in a row. And I think he got 5th place in each one. So to consistently take top 5s, wow. I've been aware of him for a few years. I interviewed him a couple of years ago. Really, really nice guy. And then just in the last year, he made that jump up in terms of size, conditioning, but he also managed to retain like the qualities of the balance of his physique, the conditioning, the refinement. And again, there's another one who just got with the right coach with Mauro Sassi, and then they just did what he needs to do to take that step up with his physique. And it worked. It worked. He looks absolutely fantastic. And now he's kind of, he's done well in American shows at the Cali Pro. So, this guy is on his way. And it'd be interesting. Yeah, it's going to be interesting for 3rd, 4th, and 5th with Anthony, Krystian, and Emir. It's going to be very interesting for the rest of the top 5. So it's obviously first and second. I mean, I hope I'm not. That's pretty much guaranteed for me.
So I had watched Fouad interviewed Stephane Mr a couple months ago, and he predicted the quality of these European shows all summer long. He said it was going to be carnage. He said a lot of guys wouldn't qualify for the Olympia that thought they were going to qualify.
Yep.
You're going to see some names pop up you weren't expecting, and it's all coming true.
Yeah, that's right. Hang on.
They're killing it. They're you American athletes, step up your game, guys. Come on. All right. Can't let them.
Sometimes I'd like to see, obviously we get a lot of European guys going over and doing very well in the American shows, but it's also nice to see the Americans come over and try their hand at the European. I wonder what the general kind of feeling is? Is it like, oh, we'll go over to Europe and get an easy qualification, or we're going to do really well, and then they go over there and they kind of get a rude awakening? Because I think I mean, the thing is, there's so many good European shows now. I mean, I think it's on a par with America in terms of all the different like quality promoters that put on a certain level of production and show. That you kind of get, like, you got like the Tim Gardners and all these different promoters in America and stuff. And there's a certain Chris Minnis, there's a certain level you kind of come to expect. Right. We've got some, you've got Jehl, what's his name? Henrique, who's the obviously promoter of the Portugal show with a beautiful venue with a revolving, he said dance floor then, the revolving stage that comes up through on the hydraulics. And I mean, people talk about that show just to basically experience that, and that venue is something special. You've got Emilio, who's putting on, the Empro and quality shows. You've got Barbara, who puts on, great shows in Italy. And Jake and Alina in Romania. Who else we got? I mean,
I'll just tell you right now, the venues for those shows in Europe, for the most part, blow away everything in the U.S. except for Arnold and Olympia. Wow. Most of our shows are held in like hotel ballrooms or something. We don't have these big concert type venues until we get to the Arnold Olympia for the most part.
I wonder why that is.
Just a money issue, I guess. Well, let's talk about one last guy.
Prague as well. That's a very, very, very good show in the Hilton. I mean, that hotel and the whole. That's a really like top rate level production.
So I was going to go right past this guy on the list. This was a little while. This was a few weeks ago. This is Carlos Carlao from Brazil. Carlos Andre Atleta Pro on
Brazilian Instagram. Nathan, they call him, Ron.
I could see the resemblance in the physique. Wasn't he? Wow, he's got the same bone structure. Got the flaring lats.
The bit of Orville Burke in there as well, or Akim.
Yeah. See, I mean, these are fairly recent. There's his dog licking his head, I guess. Look at that back. Wow. So AJ made a post predicting his top 5. He has this guy in his top 5. We'll see.
Yeah, I think maybe like he'd be. I could see him in 6th place.
I mean, that's still pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned. This is 4 days ago. This condition doesn't look quite where I'd want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. Some guys, they dry out and they look very different. This was about a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, the Brazilian Nathan, I could totally see that. Why they would call him that?
He's bloody good. I mean, like, he caught my eye. I started following him a few months ago. I forget how I saw him. He was probably on one of the Brazilian pages, and they were like raving about him, But he's one of those guys who's got that crazy structure, and he's got the sort of insane muscle bellies, and it's kind of an interesting physique that you'd be interested to see. Kind of a bit like Tonio as well, isn't he? He's got a bit of a Tonio look going on.
Yeah, well, the hair definitely.
But he's nice. He's got all the bells and whistles, and I think there's a guy that definitely screams potential.
Okay, so let's move into 212 division, and you had to draw my attention to almost everybody we're going to talk about. I was going to go right past the 212 division. First guy comes from Ukraine. This is Roman Lushchenko, and if you want to find him on, you have to look under Killer of Giants Ukraine. Ukraine is where Vlad Suhoroshko's from, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Also, who's the guy at New York Pro that I was so impressed with from Ukraine? Ola Krivi, the 212.
Oh, yeah, my God, 212 winner.
So these guys are doing it in the middle of literally a war-torn country with bombs and missiles and
crazy, isn't it? Crazy
blowing up. This guy looks great. Yeah, I'd say he's not maybe as thick and dense as some of the other 212 guys, but beautiful shape, structure. Great quad. Yeah. I love to see that deep separation. It was a year ago, this post.
Yeah.
It was a year ago, too. He's not posting much recent stuff. Good-looking kid, obviously. We'll do well.
It's good. Really good. Really good.
All right.
So there's a lot of good. I thought I don't know why, but the last year or two, I feel like the 212 has kind of got. I don't feel like we're talking about it as much anymore. Do you feel that?
Yeah, I do.
It's dropped off a bit, isn't it? Dropped off a bit. Do you think? I think like people say, like Classic will be screwed without Bumstead, and 212 would screw without Flex Lewis, and people talk about the importance of that one major guy, or lady to really sort of lead the class and kind of promote it. But I kind of feel like the last couple of years, the 212 has dropped off a little bit. I mean, plus all the good 212s now are jumping into open and kicking ass in the open, like Hadi and Derek and Tonio and John Jewett. Who else is there? Who else is there? Kamal.
Clarita left the 212 to do that show and won it. So
won it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So do you think that takes the shine off the 212?
Yes, I do. Actually, I do. We can't stop people from crossing over into other divisions, nor do I think that needs to be implemented. But at the same time, if you're seeing that all the time, it sort of means that, well, the 212 isn't as good as, or it's not as prestigious as open. So it's more of a stepping stone for the better 212 guys to move on to open. And if you look at it that way, that does take away the shine. That sort of diminishes, the status and the value of the 212 division if it's looked at as a stepping stone and something that's almost like we have the phrase like a farm team in baseball in the U.S., which is like the semi-pro leagues, where that's where the guys go before they go to the pro leagues a lot of times. And obviously these are all pros, so it's not a great analogy. But yeah, I'd rather see these guys just stay in the 212, not go back and forth. We do need stars.
I mean, what do you think Angel Calderon's going to do now? Because he got, was it 10th? Was it 7th or 10th in the New York Pro? Or 8th?
Yeah.
Remember?
He didn't do that well.
Yeah, it was 7th or 8th, wasn't it? And the thing is now, he's the third place Olympia guy. Right. He's been second. So is he going to keep trying to qualify in the Open when he's getting 7th and 8th and, not making top 6? I mean, he's really going to have to just suck it down now and go to do 12 at the Olympia, surely.
I mean,
otherwise, the thing is, he needs to qualify as well. So if he doesn't qualify, he's not. I mean, hang on, top 3.
Yeah, I could see him maybe just occasionally doing an open show over in like Europe or something, just to do it. Maybe it's because he's from Spain. I could see him doing one of the Spain pro shows and winning that again, just to make a statement and pick up some extra money. But he should focus on the 212. That's where he's the best. He's never going to be top 3 in the Mr. Olympia. I'm sorry, Angel. But
not the Mr. Olympia, no, sorry.
No, not the Open. So he could do much. He's done very well as a 212 at the Olympia level. Why not keep pushing that and try to move up the ladder there?
Do you know what though? It can't be fun. When your physique looks its best. I mean, what would you estimate he weighed? Do you know what he weighed at the New York Pro? Like
I doubt he was more than 220. I'd say like 220.
Yeah,
225 at the most, but I don't think he was that heavy.
And he's bringing absolute rock hard, dry, grainy condition. Imagine getting to that point and looking at the scale and going, shit, I've got to get off 8 pounds now or 10 pounds or whatever. And it's muscle because there's no fat or water left. It must be really disheartening and hard as well, mentally hard to then, those guys where their physique kind of does look at best at not around 212, 215, but about 220, 225. It must be really difficult because you're not quite, because some of those guys aren't. But then again, the guys who've taken the leap, Bonac, Lunsford, Hadi, Tonio, like I said, all those guys, Kamal, Clarida, they've all, Epler, there's another guy, they've all, John Jewett, they've all kind of done it and they've all done well. So I suppose it's the temptation of going to the Open is and like I said, there's not much, doesn't seem to be, I don't know if it's just me, but it doesn't seem like there's much excitement going on about the 212, certainly in the last couple of years. And I think maybe it is to do with the fact that the guys are all just jumping ship.
I mean, that's definitely a huge part of it. Open has always been the big show, the main draw, bigger money, bigger prestige. It gets more coverage. People talk about it more. I can understand that if any of them have the opportunity to do well in the Open, why would you'd actually be foolish to leave that on the table? So
yeah.
I can't blame them. This guy is hard to find on Instagram because on the competitor list, his name is always listed as Nasser Mohammed, but on Instagram, it's Nasser Sayed, IFBB Pro. I don't know how the names work in Arabic. They go by this name or that name, but this guy looks fantastic. He's out of Kuwait, that little country that's been producing champions. Yeah.
Just one or two.
And this is a couple days ago.
Wow.
He's ready.
He's been 7th in the Olympia twice.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, why not? Look at him.
And I interviewed him, well, it must have been 22, I think I interviewed him, maybe last year, maybe even. And Nasser was, he's won quite a few pro shows. He's won Portugal, UK. And the one thing he lacked was the glutes, hams, and like the calves. See, look there, they just needed a bit more going on in the hams and the glutes. The kind of the lower back area, it just needs a bit more oomph. And the recent pictures I saw, even though there was, I couldn't tell a huge amount. It looked like he'd improved those areas. But NASA is very, very, very impressive. I mean, he's a threat in every single 212 show he comes into. So I'd be very, he's absolute. He's probably the guy to beat in this one, I would say.
Yeah, I would not be one bit surprised if he wins this.
He's very impressive. Very impressive. Yeah, I interviewed him and his coach, and they were in their car, and it was a really interesting interview. Actually, I really liked him. Cool guy.
How's his English? I always want to know.
It's good, perfect.
Because my Arabic sucks. So.
Get him interviewed. He's a cool guy. That's his coach there, the guy behind him.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. Did you tag him? Team Bose.
Yeah, nice guy.
Team Bose is.
Yeah, it was last year I interviewed him. Last year.
Abdul Rahman Al Sheikh. That's who he is.
Yep. Very cool guy.
Okay. Let's move on down to more guys that you found for me here. So this is Freaky French, Marco Rus.
Wow.
Is he from France? He must be from France.
I think so.
Freaky French. Yeah, there's a classic pose right there.
Yeah, look at the quads. Look at the condition.
I'll tell you, I hate putting my own fellow Americans down, but the European and Middle Eastern condition on average is superior. I don't know why that is, but they don't try to come in big and full and bloofy looking. They bring that rock hard look. Maybe. What do you think?
What do you think it comes down to? I think it comes down to the quality of the food.
That could very well be. Our food is full of all kinds of crap.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like even the clean food is full of chemicals and water and shite.
So he just came to the 212 fairly recently, last year. I think he was classic before.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. Well, we'll play in a minute. Yeah,
he's really impressive. Really impressive.
Yeah, good job, Marco. Good luck to you.
First call out. I tell you what, first call out in this show in the 212 is going to be freaking. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, we got another couple guys. This guy's Daniel Stico. He's won a few shows that we've talked about. I think he's won this show before.
Probably. He's awesome. He really. I like his arms. He's got really good, very good arms, very good legs. I've seen him compete many times, and sometimes it's just conditions not quite as sharp as it needs to be when he's on. I mean, he makes top 3 or top 5 in every single 212 show I've ever seen. He's very good. Another Mauro Sassi athlete.
Oh, there's Mauro.
Yeah, Mauro. Yeah, Mauro's one of the. I mean, he's like Patrick Turi's one of the best coaches in Europe, and Stephane. I mean, I would say Stephane, Mauro, and Patrick. I'd say with the 3 top European coaches right now.
Yeah, I would agree to that.
Yeah,
absolutely. This guy looks like a male model. He must be a.
Yeah, he's doing plenty of blue steel, isn't
he? He really is. He's giving the blue steel Zoolander vibe.
There he is. Hey.
Well, you know what? What the heck? Why not? This is in this world of social media. Why not?
Why not? Yep. Why not?
It's Daniel Stico, and we have one more guy from the same great nation, Italia. Where I'm looking for. Who we're looking for? Pasquale. Where are you, Pasquale?
Oh, Pasquale D'Angelo.
Yeah, I know I had him before. Oh, there he is. Again, it's a strange Instagram. A bunch of underscores, BBPR, and then another underscore. So,
really? Is that his Instagram?
It's either him or it's somebody pretending to be him. So,
yeah. Do you know what? I've seen him compete many times in Spain, Ireland, all these different shows, and I don't understand why he never seems to get the places he deserves. I always have him like 1 or 2 spots higher in every single show he ever does. He's a little bit taller. So he's I'm sure he's about 5'7", maybe even 5'8". So he's a tall 212, but he's very thick. I think he's really complete. And I don't really understand why he never seems to get the placing personally that I feel he deserves. What do you think, Ron?
I mean, we say people get overlooked, and it's not really. This is him, right? I want to make sure it's not someone pretending to be him.
That's him. Yep.
Yeah.
He's really good.
I mean, usually when you say that, I start looking for flaws, and that's what I'm looking for, and I'm not seeing many. Maybe the legs could be a little bigger. I don't know. Let me see them from the front. They look pretty damn good. The other shot. Oh, I lost him. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. That's like we were talking about, these guys, Americans going over to the Europe thinking they're going to get an easy win. Good luck, dude. It's not going to be.
Yeah.
You might win. You might win, but it's not going to be easy. It's not.
He'll be top 5 for sure.
Yeah, looks great. Okay, now I want to go to Classic. Had a good list of guys, but I saw one really stood out to me. I've been waiting to see this guy. I'm waiting to see him in person. Talk about Stephane Matala. This is one of Patrick's guys, right? Patrick Tor.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, I mean, look at
that.
So we called him Terrence Ruffin with better arms.
Yeah. Look at the legs, Ron. I mean, look at him. He's just. And do you know what I said to Patrick? I said, because Patrick's they really struggled to get him down. I mean, he's been in good contest condition for weeks, and he's still like 8-10 pound over. So he's really having to lose kind of like a significant amount of like kind of size, but he's kind of got that such nice genetic shape, his fullness and roundness.
Look at that.
It's kind of it's just, look at that. He's got a beautiful physique. Everyone says a lot of people say his physique doesn't necessarily translate to the stage, but I mean, just look at that. Look at the skin, look at the quality, the hardness. Look at that. That's skinless right there. Look at that. I know, it's incredible. I love his physique. I think he's absolutely amazing. But I like his legs, I like his quads, everything. It's just everything, the separation, the detail. Look at that. That was 2 weeks ago. He's phenomenal. He's absolutely phenomenal. Sorry, that's what I said to Patrick. I said on Instagram, I said, you know what, Patrick, I'd love to see him do a guest posing at like, say, 6 weeks out from his show. Like if he wins here and qualifies for Olympia, and if he maybe goes up in body weight a little bit, I'd like to see him just do a guest posing at whatever his best body weight is, in condition, because I've got a feeling it might be slightly more impressive than what we see when he competes as a classic, because they do have to really struggle to get him down into his weight cap. So, so basically I'm just saying I would love to see that best version of him. Like saying we wanted to see Flex Lewis at like 4 or 5 weeks at 225, because he knew that was the best, that was the weight his physique was best at. Oh yeah. I mean, if he's struggling as mightily as you say, this is a very flat, depleted looking version of his physique. Oh, still amazing. And his chest, his shoulders, arms, his quads all still look so full and round. If this is his flat, I'd like to see that 8 pounds over stage weight, just fuller. What would that look like? Yeah, I mean, do you know how old he is? He can't be very old. I mean, we say black don't crack, so it's hard to tell. But yeah, it's difficult to tell, so isn't it? I can see him. I'm going to go 27, 28 if I had to guess. I mean, imagine, I don't know. I mean, if you say it really in this next, like even this year, or certainly next year, if it's a really struggle for him to do classic, I mean, why not maybe see him as an open? I mean, it's, he's the sort of guy that, because Madelman's done that, Jose Berry, whatever his name is, he's done it. He's switched to 212 and he looks absolutely phenomenal. So I'm really excited to see what he's going to be bringing, because he was winning loads of classic shows. But he was like one of these guys that really struggled. So maybe Stephane will be one of those guys that, next year maybe just says, look, you know what? I'm just dieting off too much muscle. It's too hard for me to make classic weight. So I'm going to just come back and see how I do as an open, because a physique like that, I think we all want to see it, at its absolute biggest and fullest and best. Well, we just talked about the 212 division. And I feel like if I was a top classic guy and I could see him winning this show and then going on, I don't think a top 6 or 8 at the Olympia is out of the question at all for this guy. Classic. Yeah. They're doing that well. And classic is getting more and more popular every year, whereas I can't say the same for 212. I think it's kind of holding steady. Maybe at times it dips down in popularity and comes back up. But classic is not fluctuating like that. It's continuing to be very popular division. Unless it's literally going to destroy his physique to keep coming down in body weight, I would stay classic. Yeah. But you know what, Ron? Like you say, like top 6, top 8. I mean, that's a pretty tall order, mate. I know. That is. I mean, even to say that you're like, you think about the guys who are in classic right now. You can reel off probably 6 or 7 that are probably going to make the top 6 up this year. Yeah. Like Ruffin, Wesley, Chris, Ramon. There's the new guy from Spain. What's his name? Jose Manuel. Josema Beast or whatever his name is. He's awesome. There's him. He's probably going to be, fighting for maybe, knocking on that top 6. So it's going to be it's Brion. You know, like that. There's already 6 or 7 names have reeled off. So for him, even for him to sort of win this and come in as like a top 10 guy, that's a pretty tall order, really.
True. All right. Well, that is happening Sunday, guys. I want to take just a few minutes because I did a video last week about the 1997 Olympia, Dorian and Nasser. It's still argued about as one of the most controversial decisions. It was Dorian's final win. He was injured. He had a tricep literally hanging on by a couple threads. His midsection was a little bloated. So a lot of people felt Nasser deserved to beat him. Giles, who is a great student of the sport, especially in that era, you were a very astute, especially when it came to Dorian. That was your guy. So I want you to look at these. Let's see. Let's go to this video. So we're gonna see Dorian. We're gonna see Nasser. This was from the front. Nasser obviously looked amazing. How you saw Dorian at his best? You saw him not at his best. Did he deserve this win, and why? If he deserved it, why do you feel he deserved this win?
Well, I said on the group chat the other day, I think it's a shame that Kevin Navarone didn't hit his peak on this, because otherwise I think he'd have won. Because I saw Kevin at the 1997 British Grand Prix, and like I said, I remember I told you before, I was reporting for Muscle Mag, and I went backstage and I was seeing all the guys, and I went into the end dressing room and I saw Kevin, and I just saw his leg, and straight away I knew that he was the man to beat, because he just looked absolutely. And I remember Wayne D'Amelio came on stage at the British Grand Prix, and he sat on a chair and he basically did like a little talk before the competitors came out.
Yeah.
And he talked about the Olympia, and he said, if Kevin had come like he did at the finals for the pre-judge, he says, Kevin Navarone would have won the 1997 Mr. Olympia. He was that certain. And then Kevin ended up winning nearly all those Grand Prix, and then remember he got beat by Ronnie on the last one. And then Nasser was 4th. He got beat by Chris Cormier. He got beat by Dillette. So I think Dorian deserved to win this just. Because for me, Nasser was awesome, but Nasser's back was just too weak for me. Yeah, like if his back had just had that little bit more development and detail, I feel like Nasser could have won this one, because this was the year that Dorian said he used insulin, and you can see his waist is a little bit thicker.
Yeah, definitely. That
was the year he said, because normally he used to go up to about 290 in the off season. I think this was the year that he went up to 300, 310. I think it was 310. I'm sure he said he went up to, and he said that was the first year that he felt like it was like it felt like a job, not like a love. Do you know what I mean? But look at Dorian; he's so far ahead from the back.
Yeah,
and that was also the year that Dorian's calves. I mean, look at that. I mean, Dorian always had amazing calves, but that year his calves just looked absolutely ridiculous. And do you know what? It's just a shame that Dorian did tear his tricep those few weeks out, because just imagine how he'd have looked if he hadn't have tore that tricep, because, I mean, he probably lost a little bit of fullness and pop in that upper body because he wasn't able to train those last few weeks. And you can't tell me that didn't play a part, in hindering his physique.
I mean, this is a guy that's 3 weeks of not touching a weight because he couldn't. He was terrified he was going to tear the tricep off. Couldn't even practice his posing.
Yeah.
Great. So, kudos to him for pulling this off by the skin of his teeth. I don't think, I was never a big Nasser fan, but I agree he looked really good here. Back nowhere near as good as Dorian's, I don't think. And his arms are clearly all shot up there. There's just blue feet. Yeah. They talk about Dorian had the torn bicep, which he did. It's unsightly. Yeah. But Nasser had just zero detail in his arms because they were full of some kind of oil.
Because Dorian did a guest pose, I think it was in Japan a few weeks after this, and that was the last time that Dorian ever displayed his physique on stage.
Wow.
That was it.
Wow.
And it's funny, can I tell a funny story? Because Dorian announced at the FIBO, what was in April 1998, that's when he announced that he wasn't doing the Olympia because he's retired because of his tricep, correct? Yeah. Well, in December 1997, a friend of mine told me, he said, Giles, I've got some huge news. I said, what's that? And he said, Dorian Yates is retiring. And I said, why? And he said, he's not going to be doing the Olympia. He's retiring. He says, because he's trying to sell his IGF for £40,000. That's what he said. I swear to God. He said, no, he's trying to offload it. And that's because he buys it for the year.
Yeah.
So I swear to God, that's what the guy said. He says, and I'm telling you, he's going to make an announcement probably at the Night of Champions or something, or one of these shows. and that is where he's going to announce that he's not going to be competing anymore and he's retiring. So I was like, and of course, back a few months later in the for the FIBO, he announced that he wasn't going to be competing. So there you go. I mean, whether that was true or not, I mean, we'll never know. But yeah, so he's trying to sell his IGF for 40 grand. I mentioned that to Dorian once, actually. He just burst out laughing. So I don't know whether that was an admission of that it was true or whether it was just complete nonsense and he just heard it all before.
Wow, that's crazy. You know, I also want to point out Dorian did a lot in a very short time as a pro. First pro show was 1990. Last pro show, 1997. So 8 seasons as a pro. Yep. Dexter Jackson's first pro show, 1999. Yep. Last pro show, 2022. So 3 times. He had a 3 times longer career than Dorian did.
And you had Charles Claremont that really, we never really got to see how far he could have gone because his career started in 92, arguably in 93, because he did that Grand Prix and he had 6 weeks to prep and he looked terrible. But he wanted to, they said, look, we'll give you a pro card if you do the British Grand Prix. So he had like 6 weeks to prep. So he looked awful, came last place. Wow. And then the year after, Charles Claremont won the British Grand Prix, beating Kevin Avone, beating Flex Wheeler, beating Milos, Sonny Schmidt. And he was done in 1997 as well, same as Dorian.
You had him on. You had him on Global Muscle. I want to get him on because that's one of the most underrated. I guarantee you, most of the young fans now have no idea of Charles Claremont. They don't even know the name. He was fantastic. He was amazing. It's
Milos's favorite bodybuilder of all time, his favorite physique of all time. And the thing is, like that 1993, he came out really because he got fourth in Night Champions, and he got 7th Olympia. Then he went and won some of the Grand Prix, beating Kevin Avone, beating Flex Wheeler. So he beat the guy who came second, beat the guy who came fourth, and stuff at the Olympia because Sean Ray never did the tours. And so he was but he kind of got worse as he went on because after 93, he nailed his condition at the Night Champions, he nailed his condition at the Olympia and on those Grand Prix tours. And I think he did one Arnold Classic where he kind of nailed it. But after that, his conditioning was never, and he was still making like top 10 at Olympia, which is incredible. Yeah. And he was getting bigger, but he wasn't necessarily getting better. And I just feel like I don't know, it's a lot of what ifs, but maybe if he'd have, maybe if he'd had a coach or something, or maybe if he had a bit of guidance or whatever, something had gone a bit different, maybe we could have seen how bloody good he really was, because he had size, aesthetics, tiny joints. He was a big dude as well. And Mr. Eyes and Thighs, I used to call him when the place I used to work. All the girls at the shop next door used to go crazy because he used to come and visit my boss, who was a good friend of his. And they used to come in and like, oh, Giles, do you want a coffee? I was like, they never offered me coffee. I'd come in like every half an hour. Do you want a coffee, Giles? I go, oh, hi, Charlie. Because they're like, big handsome dude,
I mean, he also came back. He had come to the IFBB from NABA. He had won the Pro Universe a couple times already at that point, hadn't he?
Yeah, I think 3 times. I think in the one up on the amateur, and I think he won the Pro twice.
Yeah, so there's a couple years he could have been in the IFBB.
Yeah.
He could have been doing well there. So
there was a big campaign in some British magazines back in the early 90s, and there was a picture of Charles Claremont and Dorian wearing boxing gloves, facing each other. Yeah, and they tried to hype it. I forget it was a year. It was like 30 years ago now, but they were trying to hype, saying who is the best of British. You got Mr. Universe, and you got the British Pro. The different federations, NABA and IFBB. Like who's the best? This is the best of the best. Who's the overall best guy? And obviously Dorian, smashed him by winning 6 Olympias. So
do you think that might have been Peter's magazine, Pumping Press?
Probably, yeah, probably was, yeah, possibly. He liked to hype stuff like that.
Pumping Press, right?
I don't know whether it was Pumping Press. Might have been. Yeah,
no, I'm trying to remember the name because I'm starting to lose my memory pretty badly. That was Peter's magazine that was done for years before he came over to the US and took over the Weider magazine.
Yeah. I bought every single issue of that, and I read every. I think that was the first time I ever became aware of Dorian. Yeah. Because it was the year he came second to the New York Pro the Night Champions and to Mohammed Benaziza. And I remember getting the newspaper. I remember I just done legs in Hereford, and I used to go to the newsagents. I remember buying this newspaper, and I remember seeing this picture of Dorian, that's very smiling and stern, and saying this British guy had gone and got second in his first pro show, and he said if he didn't make top 3, he was going to retire and not bother because he didn't think he had the potential to do it, but got second, and then obviously what happened after that. Incredible.
Good stuff. Rest in peace, Peter. All right, well, that is another awesome edition of Power Hour. I'll do a little wrap-up Sunday of the Portugal Pro. I'm sorry, it's the Mr. Big Evolution Portugal Pro. I know Emilio was very, very adamant about getting that in there. That's the major sponsor, Mr. Big.
Jehl.
Oh, Joao, sorry.
Yeah,
Joao.
he told us off, didn't he? He told me off.
Yeah,
Called it the Portugal Pro, and he told us, he said, no, Mr. Big Evolution. Because the thing is, that's the sponsor, isn't it? So you got to get it right. So I was a bit defensive first. I was like, oh, sod him. And then I was like, oh, actually, yeah, if I was him, I'd be exactly the same. Yeah, fair enough.
Wow. The only reason I know how to pronounce that, like you just did, is because the gentleman that owns a landscaping company that cuts my lawn, he's from Portugal, and his name is Joao, and I have to write his name on the checks. It's Joao.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, he's a cool guy. He's a real character, actually. Like, as I took Brandon Curry there in 2020 and showed us around the gym. And I spoke to him back at the start of the year, and he was telling me how much the gym's changed. And he said, this is now the biggest gym in Europe. And I was like, what do you mean the biggest? Wow. I said, that's quite a bold claim. And he says, no. He said, he explained how he'd bought like 100 new machines and he'd extended this and extended that. And he says, oh no, Giles, he said it is. He said it was a good gym before. He said, well, wait till you see it next time you come. So it's incredible now.
All right, well, guys, there you go. If you ever want to train in an awesome gym, you know where to go now in Portugal. Yeah, this is actually where the 1968 James Bond film Casino Royale was filmed, in this little town on the Portuguese Riviera. It's not Lisbon; it's something else.
I'm sure it's the casino that was used in the Daniel Craig one as well, the first Daniel Craig film. I'm sure it was. Yeah, I'm sure it was there where they did the scene where he has to start his heart with the stuff in the Aston Martin. I'm sure that was yeah. I think that was there because we never went inside, but we went outside. We did some selfies with Brandon Aja.
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool. I've still got them on my phone somewhere. Quite cool. The current Mr. Olympia, right before the pandemic. So that was Brandon's only tour as Mr. Olympia because he never got to go anywhere. Can you imagine? Can you imagine Brandon Curry and Kamal winning the Olympia in 2019, and then really up till from March onwards, because obviously then it changed hands to the next winner, like Sean Clarida and Rami in 2020. They only had like a 4 or 5 month window where they could even enjoy being Mr. Olympia and not being stuck inside and having to train in your home gym. And I really feel for Kamal and Brandon on that one, actually. I mean, obviously I don't feel too sorry for them because they won the Olympia.
Right.
But, imagine that. Imagine having that year, and if that's the only 1 year that you win it, having that year ripped away from you because of the bloody pandemic and all that bullshit that went with it.
Well, none of us really enjoyed the pandemic, but yeah,
I did. I did. I was in this. Because I just set the studio up and had the editing room, and me and Lauren just got together, and I pretty much moved her in during the pandemic. Oh, wow. And we were just filming and editing, and we had like 4, 5, 6 different shows going on. I was writing all the time, and we were getting to know each other. It was great. I sailed for it, man. I think I was the 0.01%. But I do appreciate that a lot of people, really struggled. It was tough. But I think I was one of the lucky few, thank God.
Well, I mean, I shouldn't. I was working at home the whole time too, obviously. So I can't really say it wrecked my day. I had to work out at home instead of going to the gym. That was pretty much my only dilemma in life. So
I just took a break from training. It didn't bother me as much as I thought it would. But it was and having to train with gloves on and these horrible builders gloves and stuff and all the rules and all that stuff. It was a weird time. That very weird time.
Well, let's just move on. We pretend it didn't happen. So that's it, man. Giles, thank you so much. He is currently preparing for his second Ronnie Coleman tour. We'll talk more about that next time. It's coming right up. And he's been deep in all the preparation that goes into that. We'll talk a little bit about that next time. Tiger's getting through. He's putting together for you guys over there in Europe. Let me tell you, working hard. So that's it. Thank you, Giles, for being part of this again. This has been our preview of the Mr. Big Evolution Portugal Pro happening Sunday. And you can catch it. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check out their website and get the live stream and all that good stuff. So that's it, guys. Please subscribe, like, ring the bell, do all that good stuff. Doesn't cost you anything. Helps me out as I build the channel. And thanks for watching. We'll see you guys right here